This is a lesson for factoring, and it's for factoring trinomials when the leading coefficient is not a 1. The type of factoring we're going to look at today was originally referred to by your teacher as the diamond and the grid. Since then, we've learned that most of the teachers are calling it the X-box method. So we'll probably use that instead of the diamond and the grid moving forward. So the diamond or the X first, and then we will be doing a grid or a box. So you're going to use the X just like you did in the video that we looked at for reverse FOIL. The only change here is going to be that the top number is not just the C, it's actually A times C on the top. So when you multiply here, you're going to do A times C for the top, and the B value is going to go on the bottom. Remember that you're looking for factors of the top that add up to the bottom. So that has not changed. It's just that last time when we did the top number and it was just the C, it's because we were doing 1 times C on the top. Now the two letters that the two numbers that you get from finishing up your diamond or your X, those two numbers are going to get grabbed and put into a box. So I'm going to refer to those numbers as R and S just for the sake of explanation, but you don't need to remember those letters for any particular reason. Then you're going to make a box or a grid, and technically you don't need a box all the way around it here. You're going to do almost like a hashtag or a tic-tac-toe method. And so in the center of your box or your hashtag, you're going to recopy the original first term of your polynomial. So the ax squared here, that's going to go in the center of your box. Then the original constant, that's going to go in the lower corner of the box. So you're literally just recopying those pieces into the box. Then the two values that you got from doing the X, those get substituted in kind of a surrounding fashion of the two things that you already wrote. So the R and the S are going to go in this box here and this box here. They are interchangeable, so you can put R or S in either location. Now when you do the R and the S pieces here, remember that those are the middle pieces of they're going to turn into the middle pieces of your polynomial, so those normally would have an X with them, or whatever variable it is that you're working with. So when you substitute those into the box here, or the hashtag, you need to incorporate your variable with the number. So it's going to be Rx and Sx in these little boxes. So this is actually all the copying that you're going to do. The last thing you're going to do is, now that all those values are in the hashtag or in the box, now you're going to look for GCFs for all of the rows and all of the columns. So you'll look for a GCF between these two here and put your answer up above. Same thing here, look for GCFs between these two, put your answer up above. And then do the same thing going across. GCFs for these two, GCFs for those two. And then the pieces that you get are going to be your two binomials that you're going to write for your answers. This method is a lot less complicated than what it sounded like when I explained it, so let's just go ahead and give it a try now with some actual numbers. So here's our first example, 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. So I made the x and I put in negative 24 on the top, keeping in mind that it came from negative 2 times 12. And then the bottom number is always the middle number, in this case the negative 5. So I was looking for factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 5. Now that might take you a little bit of time to figure out, but the numbers that work there are negative 8 and 3. Keep in mind that those could be flip-flopped. You could have the 3 first and the negative 8 second. Then I go ahead and I make my box or my hashtag. In the center I put the original ax squared term. I put the original C value in the lower corner. I grab the two numbers from my X and I fill those in with X's, and then I looked for GCFs vertically and horizontally. And so on the top here, 3x minus 2 makes one of the answers, 4x plus 1 makes the other answer. So it's a really nice way of organizing yourself so that you can go ahead and factor. Now I will make just a quick little side note here that this method did not exist when your teacher who's explaining right now was in high school. When we were told to factor these types of problems, we were told to simply guess and check. And so I'm really excited that over the years people have come up with a tool for you so that you can actually go ahead and not just guess, but actually figure out the answer. So I'm really excited that Xbox is a official method that we can start to use now. So we've got a trinomial. The leading coefficient is not a 1, so we're going to make an X, and then we're going to do the box or the hashtag. So on the top here, I'm looking for factors of 6 that add up to 7. Now, the only way that that's going to work is if the numbers are 6 and 1. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. So my 6 and my 1 are going to go in these two spots here with x's next to them. Now, really, I wouldn't want to use a 1 here. I'd want to just use x. In the center, I put my original first term and the original constant. Now I'm going to look for GCFs vertically and horizontally. So vertically, the only GCF there is a 1. Vertically here, 2 and x goes with both of those terms. Now let's work across here. GCF between these two terms is just x. GCF here is 3. So then my final answer is 2x plus 1 across the top and x plus 3 across the bottom. Now if you're ever unsure and not feeling very confident in your answer, know that you can do FOIL on whatever you got, and if you don't get the original polynomial back, then you know that you goofed somewhere. So let's go ahead and check this and make sure that it is indeed the answer that we thought. 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times 3, 6x. 1 times x, just x, and 1 times 3 is 3. And indeed, in the middle here, 6x plus 1x is going to make the 7x that I was looking for. So let's try one more here. This one's got some negatives in it, so let's see what to do in that situation. So I go ahead and put my x in my box. On the top I do 7 times 5 is 35. On the bottom I need negative 12. Now when I think of the number 35, the two factors that come to my mind are 7 and 5. And those indeed add up to positive 12. The only way to make them multiply to make a negative is if they're both negative. So I'm going to fill in negative 7x and negative 5x into my box. In the center of my box I put the original 7x squared and the original 5. Now I'm going to look for I'm going to look for GCFs. Vertically here I've got 5 and 5, so I know that's going to be a 5. Vertically here I've got 7x. Going across this way, x is definitely in common, and going across this way all I have is a 1. Now there's one other element to the Xbox method that I need to make sure that you guys are comfortable with, and that is when both of the factors in your x are both negative, or another way to think about it, when the b value is negative and the c value isn't, you're going to have to force or make the negative show up in your Xbox. So if these two numbers here are negative, then these two numbers here also need to be negative. Many other times when you're dealing with a negative value, the negative will be in both places, and so it'll obviously be a common thing that you'll pull out. That doesn't happen, however, when the b value is the only negative in your polynomial. So if you have a negative and a negative as the two factors that you fill in your Xbox or in your x, you'll need to force the negatives to be these two values when you're all done. So that's the one exception to the Xbox method. So I'm going to go ahead and have students try some of these now on their homework paper. I don't have any additional practice problems here in the video. You'll have to consult the worksheet in class.